Peace to the family. Peace to all y'all. You know? Peace to all y'all, man. For real, salute, man. Because I wouldn't be making these videos, y'all, if y'all weren't watching them, man. So I appreciate, like I say, I appreciate all the people who comment on these videos, man. It means a lot to me because that's one step to starting the rise, man, or rising for yourself, because communication is key, y'all. If you're not communicating with your fellow peers or with the people who look up to you, who admire what you do to help the world in a way, well then you're outcasted, or you're just someone that's not really being taken serious, family. So I really appreciate from the bottom of my heart for everybody who comments, because like I say, it don't matter who you are, I'm going to respond, because that's just the type of person I am, family. I'm always there for my loved ones. So just know that I'm gonna always be there for the ones, like I said, who fuck with the content, because you're taking time out your day to watch me, and you don't even know me, but your soul gravitates toward me because you feel that this shit is right for you and you only. So I appreciate that, family. But in this video, y'all, in this video specifically, I'm gonna come at y'all with a different kind of topic today. You know, I'm always talking about your energy and your purity, but this is gonna be about, you know, being a scientist and studying study your body, man. Cause the shit I'm telling y'all, you might not experience this. You know, you have to go through a certain, you know, type of, you know, test, or let God or let the ancestors show you what it is you need to know, because everybody's gonna tell you, like I said, or show you things that only is for you. You know, that's what I say. There's a lot of people who complain or gripe because they're not getting benefits. You know, some people are jealous because they're not getting female attraction and shit like that, or they're worried about women. When I'm telling y'all, family, women are like cats, man, and you're gonna scare them hoes away if all you do is worry about them 24/8, man. Cats only come around when they feel your presence is, you know, of positivity, or just someone that's not really worried about no one, because like I say, you feel safe within, and that's what truly attracts that, or whatever it is you see, whether it's money, you know, fortune, or just stability, family. So remember, as long as you have the energy within your body, you are winning. God's on your side, man, because he sees you're trying to make a change, you're trying to become better for yourself, because that's where it starts, family. You know, all I say is just move one day at a time. Don't rush nothing. You don't have to, because everything's gonna fall in the right timing, in the right order, whatever it is you are doing. You know, in person, y'all, I'm not really talkative because, you know, it's not that I don't trust people. It's just I stay to myself because I know how powerful energy is. You know, you want to give your energy to the right people, because energy is gonna, you know, like I say, manifest whatever it is you are seeing in your mind, or whatever it is you desire physically, because energy is so potent once you know what energy truly is, family, because you're no longer worried about others, because you got a mission to fulfill. You know, you might ask me, what is it that a person like you does on your day-to-day basis? You know, because like I say, most people in this world don't have the amount of energy I walk with. And that's not to be someone of arrogance. No, that's just to be a truthful light of a person, because, you know, a lot of people want light, or they want to glow like this. But to really glow like this, y'all, is to love yourself more than anybody around you, man. You know, you got to love yourself to the point where you can't just give access to everyone around you, man. You know, I'm not saying you can't text people or call them. I'm just saying that your energy shouldn't leave your body unless you're mating with that woman, man. And let's just say, okay, how am I supposed to, you know, pleasure my girl, or make her feel good in a way? So let's just say you're dating a girl and you want to get intimate, man. Well, look up what Tantra is. You know, it's literally like working out, but sexually, because you can still, like I say, bang your girl or your wife, etc. You just gotta know how to control yourself, man, and realize that the energy is everything you have as a man. So, you know, take it easy. Don't rush, and don't be trying to fuck hardcore like all these, pornos that you grew up watching, because that's not what life really is. Those are acts. You gotta take it slow, be subtle, and over time you will know what I'm talking about, because loving is when you bond with a girl and you're mating with the one who truly adores you. So let's just say, you're in a relationship right now, family, and it's not going 100. That's because your girl sees that you're easily controlled, or she can have her finger around you like a hula hoop, man. And that's not the case, family. That's not what you want to be. You want to be someone who's mysterious without trying to be that. And the only way you're going to be mysterious is by keeping that attraction there. The attraction's always going to be there, family, no matter what. If you, like I say, love yourself more than anything around you. Because now, they're either going to love you or respect you. Simply because you're not easily giving yourself away, Or they just might flat out wish down on you, because there's some evil spirits in this world, man, who cling on to, like I say, physical beings who are not strong enough to fight their urges. Because, like I tell y'all, family, not everybody is on the same accordions. Most people in this world take the easy way out, so they're gonna get one off, or they're gonna let their pleasures define them, because that's how they've been taught their whole life. They ain't trying to step above the stool and rise. They just want to be someone who's gonna, hopefully, prefer, like I say, someone to win for them. And that's not the case, family. That's why I say, family, let's just say you want to become a man of honor. Well, it starts with you honoring your energy. That's dignity, man. Don't matter if a female plays you, or let's just say you text someone trying to show love, trying to be there for somebody. Because like I say, people need aid in this world. There's so many people who don't even know what the fuck life truly is. But you're this light seeker, man. So you're trying to give people a piece of your light, man, because you see that they are worth something. Well, if they ain't trying to fuck with you, or they're not on the type of time you on, man, like I say, let them be. That's their loss, man. You didn't lose at all. You won because you did everything you could. You can't control anybody, but you can let it be known and speak on how you feel with someone, because that's all it's about, man. Knowing that you had confidence to be yourself and to speak your mind, And if they ghost you, or like I say, they laugh at you, or they're like I say, they're last minute ditching on you, that's them. They don't have, like I say, it was never you. It was always them, because you know who you are, man. You know that you're this light. You're someone that doesn't have to speak and show confidence, but move with silent confidence. Because silent confidence will override any problem or anyone on what they are saying to you, because it doesn't matter what someone says or what someone does. It's about how you do it, and knowing that it's nobody else. I'm not trying to prove a point to nobody, because I don't have to. I don't give a fuck if you like this or not, but I'm gonna still give out the video, family, because I'm just trying to help your relationship grow stronger if you're in one, So the key to keeping your girl attracted to you is remaining there with this glow, man. Keep her intrigued. Make her, the more energy you have, or the more she's gonna be attracted to you, because your aura or your etheric body is, seeping out of your physical being. So yes, you'll appear physical, but the auras and the 7 layers around your body is what she's feeling, and that's what she, like I say, craves you, or she just adores the fantasy that she might see of you when y'all together, because that's what us men of honor truly are, man. Not someone who's gonna be asking the questions why you don't have a mind of your own. Because what does every man want? They want to be someone who's gonna provide and protect, and a woman, she just wants someone who's gonna lead without trying to ask her what you got to get done, because women only want someone who's going to be action oriented, or they want someone who can lead the relationship, man. That's what a true relationship is when you lead, like I say, because you become the head of the honcho, or you become like a wolf but leading the pack, man. And that's what a woman craves, man. They just want someone who's going to keep them safe, not someone who's going to feel like they know it all, or try to portray this image of that they are all this, because it's not worth it, y'all. You don't got to do shit. All you got to do is move with confidence and the silence that you gain it, because now it's about trying to help others gain that awareness so they can help themselves out that fucking, that void that they might be endured in, family. But To each is our own. I will never force this upon the people who don't see this like me, because as a Scorpio, I can already say that I'm the deepest sign. That's why I live underground, or they say underworld, because think about it. As a Scorpion, what do? They live under the sand. They only come above the surface when it's time for them to, like I say, endure an obstacle, or something would change is in result for them. But we are living under the surface. That's why you barely see Scorpions, man. They're living under the sand, because there ain't shit above the surface that we need to, like I say, find ourselves on. If you want to say that, go look at your moon signs, your rising, and whatever it is that you have, because those will lead you in the right path once you know who you are, man, and to why you feel like, damn, okay, this makes sense on why I act like this. For another sign I have, I'm a Sagittarius, because that's another sign, like I say, that I have in my chart. So that is what gives me, someone who just gonna think deep as fuck about it all day. So no matter what I'm thinking about, or whatever hits my way, I'm gonna be on that simple, question all damn day, because as a Sagittarius, think about it. Their bow and arrow is pointing where? At the sky. It's above. It's like a bow and arrow. Boom. And it's shooting straight at the cosmos, family. And that's why, we're always on unearthly topics, or, things that are coincidences, or let's just say we crave looking at the space, because that's what Sagittarius are. They're the philosophies of the zodiac. They're always on unearthly things, because that's power that God is trying to give you. You got to be aware to lead people who are lost, man, because that's what God gave you while you were down here. He gave you a mission to fulfill, man, and only you can fulfill that, because not everybody came down here like you. There's some signs out here that have no awareness, but they simply, believe that action, or just, stepping out and knowing what everything around you is what it's supposed to be. But no, this is a simple illusion, man, that you must break free from with action and self-belief, man, because self-belief is going to get you farther than what it is you're seeing. I can see this shit all day that I'm trying to do, but I will never get there, family, if all I do is think about it all day. I eventually have to make the video. I eventually have to edit it and push it out, because that's what it means to be someone of honor, family. But just think about that, family. That's why I say I'm a Scorpitarius, because I was lucky to even come down on those energy cycles, man. But that's what I chose to come down here as before I even elected to come back here, because once you know that power is only, gained when you have experience with that power, when you have been through shit, when you are someone that has taught yourself how to survive, because you become a survivor, y'all. Everybody around you is a survivor. It's just some people don't know how to survive on their own. And that's why they can't take being alone, or they need attention, because then people are shallow, man. And you can't help them if they don't want to be helped. The only thing you can do is wish for the best for them, But not all Scorpios or any sign are like this, because you must be a healed sign. You must be someone who's healed already to move with your action and to remain knowing that I believe in myself. I don't need no one to believe me. But I do this because people relate to these videos, man. Whatever sign you are, I will never diss you, because, I fuck with all the signs in their own way. They all have, yeah, I've had bad experiences with most of them, because, like I say, my sign is misunderstood. Not everybody's gonna relate to me, and I don't want them to, because I gotta be myself. I gotta be someone who's seeking this authenticity, which is real shit. And if you don't feel it, or it just feels like I'm doing the most, well, that's because I'm aching your ego, or I'm hurting you, because deep down inside, that I'm an intellectual being who just came down here to create change, and you're in the way of this. So I gotta push your ass, layers above the soil, man, because this shit is never gonna reach you fully, family. But remember, what truly keeps a relationship alive It's knowing that you must keep the energy within you, man. You know, Kevin Gates was always talking about this, and it angers me or aches me because of how they were laughing or trying to clown on my mans, man. Think about it. He's a rapper, y'all, but people looked at him like a street thug or a street gangster or just some street nigga that was just coming up. But really, y'all, he's a legendary, artist. Someone who has put blood, sweat, and tears into what he loves doing. And that's why he became somebody. He did it on his own, self-made. So you can never discredit what he does. Yeah, you can hate him, or you can, say he's a goofy for whatever he preaches. But at the end of the day, you can't not take away from what he has done. Because, like I say, you might not like him, but I bet your bitch might. Because life, it shows us how to become somebody once you are inspired by others around you, man. But just remind yourself that, you might laugh at me or call me crazy, but there's others out here preaching the same message, family. So that's why I say, you must know that. Hold up, family, hold up. Alright, I'm back, family. Salute. But just know that you're never crazy, man. You're just someone who's thinking outside the box, man. No matter what sign you are, man, thank God that you are that sign because you are different, You can't do things that everybody else can, or you might have an advantage on things that others might not have on. But me, let's just say you're a Scorpio. Well, I'm going to fuck with you even more, or I'm going to feel you on a deeper level because we can truly relate to things that most can't. Because, like I said, you're misunderstood like myself. You're someone who's looked at like a goofy or a goofball. But that's because you don't show or prove to the world what you have. That sword is in your hatchet, man. And you don't have to pull that out for nobody, no matter what they do or no matter what they say or no matter how good they look, because it's not about the physical that we are seeing, y'all. That's why I say, man, we are someone that sees beneath the surface because we're just trying to make a change. We're trying to have energy. We're trying to, perfect our spirit, man, because that's what true perfection is. They say no one's perfect, but yes, I am perfect, and you might be perfect if you have the energy within you because you're acting out a perfect or authenticity, which is rare in this world. Not everybody has that, ability, and that's why the people love being around you, or they simply can't because your aura is like a force field, man, and it's gonna attract what's for you. And like I say, it's gonna, disarm the bomb that others are trying to put on you because God's in control, man. He's protecting you. He's happy whether you're his son or you're his daughter because you chose to make that change, man. So let's just say you're like, what do you do? What do you do in your day-to-day life? You're like an interesting person, and I'm talking to myself right here because if you're behind this camera, you might feel like, okay, what do you do then? Okay. They just say I get motion. I work a job, but there's no problem with working a job because you're not trying to be like everybody else, man. You're simply here to do one thing. That's to do whatever makes you happy, man. As long as you see yourself as someone, I don't like to call it a job. I'm gonna call it an opportunity because it was an opportunity for me to even get these jobs. I wouldn't even have no jobs if God didn't even see it in me. He was like, man, my son is worthy. He picked up that phone call, and since he picked it up, most definitely you're gonna get that hoe because God sees who I am behind closed doors. You might hide who you are on the camera if that's someone you are portraying as, but if you are someone who's perfect, who's trying to see perfectionist off this camera, well, God knows all, and that's why you must really have integrity. You must really love yourself. But for the people who are asking me what it is that I do, well, simply what I do is I work out every day. If I can or if I have time to. I like to, build things. I like to fix things. I like to save my money. I like to, eat, but not so much because I know how powerful the body is. And it's truly powerful beyond measures when you fast or when you eat less because you're not, clogging your solar system up. You're not clogging it up to where, it can't think. Because remember, this right here, or should I say your gut, is your second brain, man. And that's why, you start thinking for yourself in a way, or it helps you or empowers you because, two brains is always better than one, family? But, yeah, family, if you are playing games, no wrong with that. I play games too. I play Call of Duty, or I play racing games like Forza or Need for Speed. Those games are all, action orientated, because you know in real life I'm playing this shit, man. I'm going high speeds in this badass car that I have by the grace of God, because He seen me trying. You know, He seen that even though I used to walk every fucking day, you know, I knew that I was gonna get this car. You know, I was just praying and waiting that when I get out of school I can start finally taking action, because that's what holds you back, y'all. Whenever you're forced to partake in things that you know you can't avoid, but it's not a problem. It's giving you time to become someone, you know, who's gonna brainstorm and figure out what's the best strategy that I can get or use to get the things that I see myself having, you know. And I just said a lot, family. But if you can understand, man, well, I give high heads, and like I say, I take my hat off for you, because you know it takes a lot of energy to understand someone with energy, you know. If you don't have energy, y'all, you're not gonna watch me, because you're gonna find this shit boring. You're gonna want to do things only for your ego that feel that, you know, family, which is your kurama or your zangetsu, or you know, just anything that's a demon inside of you that gives you access of power, man, you know. But yeah, family, you know, I had said just a lot of mouth. You know, this is gems, because like I said, you are a gemstone if you're watching me. No matter if you're a woman, no matter if you're a guy, you know, no matter if you fucked with me or you knew me or you don't, you know, I don't judge, because like I say, if I judge you, well then, you know, I'm not truly acting out on authenticity, y'all, because for someone who is judging, you know, you will be judged yourself, man, by God, you know, by the ones that you can't see, because to judge is to be judged. Always know that no matter what the fuck you do to someone, or no matter what they do to you, it's always gonna come back tenfold for the person or the sender, because everything you do, you know, it's gotta have an intent, which is pure, man. And if you think I'm bullshitting, well, that's probably why your life is hell, and you know my life is, you know, prevailed. But just know that life is peaceful once you learn how to live within peace. Once you learn how to let go. Once you learn how to remember that you're the key holder, because the key's in you. You just gotta unlock that hole, walk through that door, and start asking God, what is this that I gotta do to fulfill my purpose, man? Whether that's making videos, whether that's working but still having a plan, whether that's, you know, starting your own brand, whether that's, you know, like I say, selling or just creating a product, man. Anything you want, you have the power to do that, family. That's why I'm here to motivate y'all, as I have time to do so, because whenever I was getting on the journey, let's just say when I was in my younger days, maybe let's say I was going 1 week on this journey, or you know, I was a month in. Well, I didn't see myself as someone that would get this far, because I wasn't worrying about how far I could go. I was constantly thinking about, like, damn, this shit is a challenge, man, because it is a challenge, y'all. So that's why I say, man, if you're on those earlier days, man, and it's hard, embrace that, man. That kickstart or that tension, or that, you know, madness you might get, but that's because you're starting to feel what energy's like, and that's your energy, to be specific, man. So hold on to that, man, because that energy that causes you to become mad is because your masculinity is starting to increase, man, and that's what you need as a man. That gives you dominance without even saying anything, because females will pick up on that shit, or just, you know, certain males will respect you, or they gonna get away from you because you become an interrogator without talking. You know, you scared them from the inside, man, or you shake their boots because you're not in competition with them, but they see that you're someone that literally is living life like he's on cloud 9, man, and that's why they can't take that, because they just say they're going through problems and they're frustrated. Well, they don't like how they see someone like you not bothered by anything, you know, family. And that's fucking power, man. That's power, family. You know, before I get deeper, just think about that. Just think about that, family. But back to what I was saying, though, family. You know, when I was on my younger days of this journey, y'all, was I worried about females? Yes. Was I worried about, you know, lustful thoughts? Yes. You know, was I worried about like oh shit, I might not make it. I'm trying to relapse. Yes. That's normal for a man because your body wasn't, or it hasn't been used to the energy that you're holding on to now. You know, that seed within your body must mature. It must become someone that has reached maturity. And once it matures, so will your face, so will you get the glow, so will you have more energy to take on life, man. You know, most people don't want to, like I say, create or act out a purpose because they don't have the energy behind them to back that up, whatever they're trying to conquer, you know. Most people don't want to work out, y'all, because they don't have the energy to pick up a fucking dumbbell and do this, you know. And this is just out of pure intent, man. No disrespect, because most people in this world, they don't want to do nothing, y'all. They want to leave their energy behind, not knowing that it is the all to it, man. Whether you're with a girl, whether you're trying to be somebody, whether you're trying to get things done, you know. I'm only telling y'all this from experience, man, because I've been through a lot of things that I hope y'all can avoid, man. Because I don't want y'all to go through things like me, you know. I've been on long streaks before, and I lost it because, like I say, I got too caught up in that ego, or I felt like I was, you know, I had to humble myself real fucking quick, man, because your ego, it's not that it takes control or it causes you to act out on you know, negativity, but you start feeling yourself too much to where you get too comfortable in a way to where you start acting out on things. Let's just say, you know, you're on a high streak. Well, you know, I can literally call a girl to come swallow my soul if that was the case, man, because your energy is, like I say, very much needed in this realm, you know. And if you have it, well, others are gonna find that attractive about you, man, and they're gonna want a piece of it. Like I say, they're gonna want a piece of your pie, whether they get it intimately or they get it, like I say, energetically, which is shaking your hand, whether just being around you or whether just talking to you on the phone, because you're helping them, man. You know, you're guiding them depending on what the fuck you are doing. So that's why I tell you, family, you must keep your energy like if it was literally, you know, your last breath, man. Think of you on a, you know, on a deathbed, and if you release that energy, well, you die. That's how you must see it. Because, you know, when you lose your energy, what do? You start feeling tired. You know, you lack motivation, or you just don't want to do things because your mind's in bliss mode. You know, that's because God's telling you that this shit ain't what you're supposed to be doing, my son. Or, you know, it's just something that ain't called for, man, because you came down here to create, lead, and protect, man. So your woman is gonna treat you like you's a fucking bitch, man, because if she has feminine energy, y'all, well, once you lose all of it, you become someone who's feminine also. Because, you know, your masculinity that you once gravitated or held on to, y'all, you let it go, you know, family. And like I say, family, you're never supposed to let that masculinity go, man. That's to protect you, your wife, or your, like I say, your family. But yeah, family, just take that shit in and realize that masculinity is what attracts divine feminine energy. So all these baddies or all these queens you might like, they're acting out on that femininity they have, because that's what they were given, y'all. And if you want to attract the most baddest, most 100 out of 100, all you gotta do is act out of your masculine frame. You know, work out, increase your testosterone by, you know, not doing much, but action orientated. Because I promise you, you will attract 9s and 10s, whether you want them or not, if you just love yourself, man. Don't love, you know, or put all your energy towards others. Put it into your fucking self, man, and watch them come like ants scattering an ant pile, because that's truly what they do. Because I've experienced it firsthand, family. I'm not gonna be someone who's gonna lie to y'all because I walked in these shoes, man. I'm just trying to remind you of what king status or energy is like, because most people, you know, they are dying to trying to get a piece of that pie, but ain't willing to sacrifice time, effort, and countless, you know, failed attempts to get where, you know, where you want to be, you know. If I tell you to go 300 days right now, can you, without questioning yourself, man? If you ain't ever been on a journey, or you just someone who hasn't started it, you might look at me and laugh like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, you're gonna have that. You're gonna have maybe a doubt come into your mind at that exact moment. I say that because you're not used to even going a month. You never went longer than probably 2-3 days. I mean, that's what I'm saying, family. In order to spark change, you must become the change. You must create what it is that you want to be. You know, if I was on day 7 or just the 1 week, I would never be here. Y'all wouldn't even know who I am. I wouldn't have been no artist. I wouldn't have been no motivational speaker. I wouldn't have been a public creator. I wouldn't have been on this camera, man. I would have been on my fucking bed, slanging and just trying to be someone who's maintaining in this world, because now I'll be acting out of fear, survival, and I'll be worrying about everybody else, you know? And that's someone who's looked at as a wimp, a simp, or just a limp, because now, you know, as a man who's lacking, you know, you're not looked at as a man, you're looked at as a woman at that point, because you're too feminine, man. You're scared to get it on your own. You don't want to do nothing. And that's the problem, family, with most males in this generation. You know, they're too feminine, man, or their emotions will cause them to do things that they regret later, because they're not trying to change. They're not trying to hold that seed in. Remember, let's just say you can't do it, or you don't want to do it now, but let's just say you were able to get through that 30-day mark, and maybe that's day 60, and let's just say you keep going, climb up the ladder, family. The goal is to not count days. Live one day like it is everything to you, because if you're constantly thinking about the future, y'all, well, then you're worried about a pointless number, knowing that yes, it matters to you, because it matters to all of us, but you must live in the present in order to get there, man, because the actions you create presently are what cause you your future to become. So if you're worried about trying to get to day 30 or day 90, but you're horny now, well, you have to fix it and conquer that motherfucking beast before you lose it all, and you won't get there. So that's why I say, family, you gotta live presently now. But you will get there as long as you live every single day like you know what the fuck you're doing. And that's the way to go. But, you know, this is the video I'm giving y'all, man. It was raw, authentic, and just straight to the point, you know. But for the people who are trying to find or trying to keep their relationship secure, your female will only stay stuck on you if you have the energy that is to lead her, to protect her, and to, when I say lead her, lead yourself with action, because she's gonna follow you regardless if she's truly for you, man. You know, someone who likes you will link with you at a fucking dumpster, or just, you know, they'll be willing to meet you in an abandoned neighborhood where there's nothing or no one if she truly likes you. Most women ain't like that in this era. So that's why I say, man, love yourself more than anything, and watch them hoes or watch them pretty queens come around when you start becoming what it is you see yourself to be, you know? But the glow is real. It is always real, family. So I'm never here to be, you know, like I say, a liar, man, because I was a liar then, not a liar no more, because you cut those fucking pliers off your neck that was installed there, and you move with purpose, because God's got a blessing and a reason for you to keep going. But remember, I'll see you on the next one, man. Salute to all my soldiers that are strong and staying on this journey, because it's not about counting to 1,000 days. It's about counting this as today, and make sure you are doing the right things now, and that's how you will get there. Enjoy the day you're on now, whether it's day 90, whether it's day 20, whether it's day 15, because you should pat yourself on the back and be happy that I made it to this day, and I'm still on the fucking journey. So you're winning. You're winning if you're on the journey, y'all, because you're on the journey. If you have a nocturnal emission, or you have a wet dream, or you relapsed in your sleep, that's, you know, semen that has came to the surface because it has been backed up, and the body's trying to get rid of, you know, non-essential fluid, so you didn't lose. But you'll probably feel that way because you probably thought like, damn, it feels so real in that dream. You know, it felt like I did relapse in real life. But trust me, family, your body is so majestic and magical that it ain't just gonna release, you know, your gold or whatever it is that you have held onto that easily, because everything that you do has to happen with conscious. So you have to be constantly awake to lose it all if you do that. But if it was a wet dream or a relapse in your sleep, like I say, shake it off. Don't eat before you go to bed. work out, drink a lot of water, stay hydrated, and one day later, or maybe later on in that same day, you'll feel like even better because you got that toxicity at your fucking body. But I love y'all, family. Remember, stay on the journey, family, and you'll thank me later. But it's one love, man. 100.